Hello, welcome back to Your Life Your Way. Have you ever felt like your life is coming at you at the speed of light, like a racing locomotive, more like a charging locomotive? I'm your host, Kathleen McDermott, and here at Your Life Your Way, we're talking about all things you living your life fully as you, 100%, shedding all the layers of stuff that have just buried you through a lifetime of conditioning and society's rules and other people's expectations, just all of it. Today, I would like to touch on 2024. How has your 2024 been? For me, part of me has said, I feel like I've missed 2024, a lot of 2024. But then I realize it's given me a lot. And that's why I really wanted to share, because life does come at us so quick sometimes. And it seems like it just doesn't stop. It's one thing after another. And, you know, it's all life. It's just life. I've had some experiences this year, 3 in particular, that have been firsts for me. The beginning of the year, starting in December of 2023 and right through April of this year, my mom was sick. My mom lives with me, and she was sick, and we could not figure out what was going on. Just could not understand what the problem was. Long story short, it became a real mission for me to figure out what was going on for her sake, totally, because she was getting depressed. She didn't want to eat, and she was just not a happy camper at all. And I cannot blame her, couldn't blame her. So I was on a mission to find out exactly what was going on, and we were exhausting things. And finally I said, give me your prescription. She isn't on many. For 87 years old, she's not on many prescriptions at all. But I said, give me a prescription. So I'm going to start just checking them out a bit. Well, lo and behold, didn't I find her issues showing on one of her medications? So from that point, we immediately talked to the doctor and said, this is what's going on. We want to get her weaned off from this. And it was a medication that she absolutely could wean herself be off from it and take care of herself. We're not going to get into why she was on in the first place, but she's type 2 diabetes, which right now she's not. She's out of that because she's been doing beautiful caring for herself since being off the medication. But the point that I want to make with this is the same point through the other 2 experiences as well. Fear was present in every single one. Fear has been our guidance for what we do, what we don't do, and how we do it in so many things in our life. Fear it's part of who we are. We need it to help keep us safe. And it's gotten to the point where fear really has overtaken our life. We don't even realize it. How many times do we make excuses that we can't do that because of this? We can't do that because of something else. So it's just something that we want to recognize, that our fear is a very important part of us, but we can't let it run our life. So through these experiences, there was a lot of fear. This one in particular, fear of the unknown, of what in the world was going on, fear of losing my mom. It was really powerful fear. But we got through that. She got through that, and she's a rock star. She's been doing fabulous since we got her off, and she's taken really good care of herself. So on the bright side of all of that, I am a very curious person. I'm a why. I want to know why. I want to know how. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for, sometimes it can be annoying to others how curious I am, but it served me well through this process because it pushed me to not give up. I wanted to dig in and really find out what the problem was, and my curiosity kept me going. So that was a beautiful thing that I honor and respect. The second experience, we had May. May was a wonderful month. We enjoyed it. We had fun. We did a little traveling. And we got the first couple weeks of June, and then June 19th, walking across my kitchen floor, for the lack of a better way to describe it, my knee just collapsed. And I have had over the last, 30 years, I've had three previous surgeries on it. Loved it so much the first time, kept going back. This time when it happened, I thought, oh God, not a fourth scope. But I knew in the back of my mind it was different. It felt different this time. But I'm a little stubborn. I said, "This is good. I can take care of this." And I thought it'll heal. Well, it didn't. It didn't. And I eventually had to bite the bullet and accept the fact that I needed to see a specialist. So went in to the doctor, got the news. Yep. Yeah, you need a full knee replacement. Yay. And I swore I was never going to have that. Do you ever swear you're never? And then ultimately the universe says, hold my beer. Yeah. So this really was an experience I said I was never going to have, but it was happening. And I really kind of felt like I lost my summer. I didn't get to see much of the summer other than back and forth to appointments, but I had a wonderful surgeon. My surgery was done in August. And again, here comes the fear. But the fear wasn't leading up to the surgery. I was very good about not letting my curiosity run wild, because that would have caused me to go into the surgery with a lot more fear. And I don't think that would have been healthy for my recovery to go. It would have been healthy for the surgery, for me to go into it very much afraid and really knowing a lot of the intricate details. So I let my curiosity just be still. And once the surgery was over and I came home, my son was here, one of my sons, and he lives the closest, so it was easiest for him to come and just spend a few days and hold safe space for me to get my bearings. And I had a dear friend who was rock star, holding space for me leading up to my surgery and after my surgery, and was here for me after Cameron went back home. Having friends that are there to hold that safe space is so vital, and it's a beautiful thing. But the fear, there was so much fear of the unknown. I had nothing to gauge this on, nothing to gauge the healing on, nothing to gauge nothing. I'd had talked to a couple of people who had their knees done, but I needed more. I needed to know more of what someone maybe who'd had a longer experience and their healing. So as I began to go through this process, yes, curious, I began to ask questions of my physical therapist and learn more there. I began to be more courageous about what I was going through and to embrace the fact that this was going to be, I haven't been able to walk upstairs without pain for probably 7 years. So I began to embrace that and think, wow, I'm going to be able to do things without the pain that I used to have. And that's a beautiful thing. But there was still that fear of the unknown. And to be quite honest, I've just now reached a point, I'm at 3 months, and I've just now reached a point where I don't have so much of that fear of the unknown, because now I have allowed my curiosity and myself to be open to the right people being in front of me to ask the questions that I want to ask. And that's just happened. But still the fear. And another thing I want to point out today, as we're together, is expectations. I don't know about you, but I tend to set some expectations. I had some expectations around this healing process. August 14th was my surgery, and I had it in my mind, September 20th, I was going to be in North Carolina helping my son and his fiance. Oh, maybe not moving boxes and stuff, but just to be there just to help out to the best that I could. If you've had this full knee surgery, or maybe even a partial, but if you've had this surgery, you're laughing. Go ahead, laugh. I know, it was ridiculous. There was a brief time that I felt a little sorry for myself for a few minutes and was sad because I wanted to be there so much, but then I had to accept that. I had to accept that I could not do it. My health and healing was the priority, which there was no problem. They understood, of course. But expectations, we set expectations all the time. We get up Monday morning, expect expectations, set them for the week all the time, right? And then when the life says, here's a little bit of a curve, it can knock us off we allow it to let us we allow it to knock us off our game. So, but it's part of life. It's part of being human to expect things, but it's just something that if we loosen the expectations, allow ourselves to be curious and explore the possibilities, explore what else might be available to us, it can really allow us to have a lot more peace. And in this process, the moment I stopped expecting this healing to speed up, once I accepted that, it just got easier. It just got easier. It just felt better. Um, there's a lot of tension with our expectations sometimes. There really is. Sometimes we can get so adamant about what we expect to happen. And I was. Darn it, why is it taking so long? So sometimes replacing expectations with acceptance, curiosity, and embracing and acceptance can make life a bit less stressful. The third experience, I live in South Carolina. We get tornadoes. We get tornado warnings when we have storms. We don't get hurricanes. We prepped for a tornado warning. We did not prep for a hurricane, and we had one. And you all know, September 26th, 7th, a hurricane came through Florida, Georgia, and it came through South Carolina and did a whole lot of catastrophic damage in North Carolina in the mountains. Yeah, bizarre. That was an experience that I never want to have again. None of us want to have it ever again. And I have friends that have gone through, we actually went through two in Florida. They went through the one, and I don't remember that one's name, but they went through the one, and Helene came right behind it. So they hadn't even recovered and cleaned up from the first one. They had the second one. My heart goes out to them. I don't know how. They're stronger than I. This brought a lot of fear to me. I have never heard anything like it. It was just the worst sound of wind and that I've ever heard before. This was an experience that obviously brought a lot of fear. I can't tell you how much fear, feeling of absolutely no control. There was really nothing I could do. I'm responsible for my mom and my cats, but it was a real, you're on your own and you just hope and pray that everything works out. We were blessed. We were so lucky. My home was fine. Our home was fine. We were fine, but it's an experience that really knocks you for a loop. Fear. This is another point to bring up. I don't know if you know the state that you go to, and by state I mean when you are extremely stressed, when something feels, when your nervous system, your reptilian brain is perceiving danger. We usually go to either fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flop. Most common are fight, flight, freeze. This was a huge flight for me. Huge. Immediately went into fight. The next day I was messaging my son saying, I'm out of here. I'm packing. I'm putting a for sale sign up. I'm out of here. That was the reaction of my nervous system. And it took a while, and a point made with each of these experiences and whatever experiences you might be having. Notice what state you do go to, and notice that it's important for you to come out of that state, to not stay in it. You can get stuck. It's not healthy. It can be dangerous if you're in there for a long time. It can risk illness and disease. Knowing what state helps to know what tools, techniques, methods that are best for you to bring yourself back to a state of calm. You know the words sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system. We flow naturally from one to the other, just naturally through daily pokes, as I call them, irritants, frequent irritants. We go in and out. It's natural. But when we're having many and we're reacting to life in a way that's very fearful, and history of trauma, history of this habit of reacting in a way to defend yourself and protect yourself at all cost, it can really cause to get stuck in one of these, in the state, whichever one is the one you typically go to. It's good to recognize which one you are. I do work with stress relief and creating your supply kit of proper tools and methods that serve you to help with this process. And that is something you can always reach out and talk to me about. You can reach out to me at kmyourlifeyourway@gmail, kmyourlifeyourway@gmail. And it's called Turn Your Stress into Strength. But these experiences, and why I'm sharing with you, is to point out how you step back and take a look at how you handle the big things. How you handle the little things can affect how you handle the big things. They're a team. And the more you can strengthen yourself and handle and process the little things, and processing is big, it's really going to help you with the bigger things in life. And ultimately, there's going to be, you've already had, I'm sure, something has happened in your life that's been a big thing. And there'll be others. It's just part of life. Life isn't just simple and easy and breezy and unicorns and rainbows every day. Processing emotions, that was huge, huge. Every single one of these, I had to process my emotions. And let's face it, we're not taught. Most of us are not taught as children how to process our emotions. And that's no blame for our parents. They didn't know how to teach us because they weren't taught, and their parents weren't taught. It's a cycle. It is a cycle. It's one of those cycles that you can be the breaker of. And in each one of these instances, I had different emotions that came up, and I needed to process each one. And the first two were longer experiences. I'm pointing, I have my notes here. Because at this time of day when I'm doing this, my mind can go off and squirrel. So I want to stay on track and not keep you here all night. But processing my emotions for each one, some didn't take as much time to process. Others took longer. With my mom, it was a kind of an ebb and flow of processing emotions, sometimes a little bit more steady. With my knee, that was a roller coaster ride of processing my emotions. I mean, the first day at PT, I had tears streaming down my eyes because I was in so much pain. Of course, I wasn't able to take pain pills. It's another whole story. So I was doing it without pain meds. But a lot of pent up emotions. With the hurricane, that took a couple weeks for me to process the emotions because little things kept happening. We were blessed too. We only were without power and water for just, I think it was 2.5, 3 days at the most. But then on top of that, going to the market, all the dairy section or the freezer sections, the cooler sections, meat, everything, all of it was closed off. There was nothing. You could only get the dry goods. And let me tell you, that's a really freaky feeling to go in and see that. And it's so important for me to have protein at every meal for mom. It was a freaky thing. That was a freaky feeling. So that whole process, it took a while for me to bring my emotions back to a state of calm. We suppress them. We, as humans, it can be very easy to be one extreme to the next, to just suppress them and force them down, and we don't have to deal with it. Or our emotions can be coming out in such a way that's not healthy. So processing of emotions, recognizing your fear, creating a new relationship with that fear. Sounds funny, but yes, you can create a new relationship with fear, work together. Being curious about solutions. Sometimes we go from 0 to 60 to freak out and panic when we need to take a step back and think, okay, this is the situation. We need to dig in and find the answers, find solutions. Be curious. Embrace the possibilities. Give yourself a lot of grace. A lot of grace. Life can be a roller coaster ride. This year came, it really did feel like it was coming at me like a charging locomotive. But what I've taken away from this year, what it's given me in courage, in confidence, more confidence, because I've gotten through things that were really tough. And sometimes there were moments that you think, where is the light at the end of the tunnel? But it really does remind us when we're going through these things, the strength that we've had. We've always had it. You see memes that say the tough stuff is what makes you stronger. The strength is there. You've had the strength. You were born with the strength. Life just puts layers on top of that, and sometimes we just forget. But you always had it. It's there. It's not gone away. You have everything that you need to get through this stuff that life throws. So I want to thank you for listening. If there's anything about this that you think would serve someone else, to help someone else, please feel free to share this episode. And if you have anything yourself that you would like to discuss about processing any of these things, not these specific occurrences, I'm sure you haven't gone through these specific things, but any of your own, and how you can begin to build tools and methods that aren't what you developed as a child. We develop them as a child, as a teenager, and then we take them through life. And this time of life as adults, we need to have different tools for where we are right now. So if it's something that interests you, that you feel like you'd really like to give your nervous system some love and create more wellness and better health for yourself, it's something that I would love to talk with you about. Feel free to reach out, pop me an email at kmyourlifeyourway@gmail, kmyourlifeyourway@gmail. I wish you so much peace and a whole lot of blessings. And when life throws the next curve, remember to breathe. You have everything inside you, and seek support and help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Thank you so much for being a part of the Your Life Your Way community. I'm so grateful for you to be here. These occurrences is why I've been mostly MIA this year. It's been a tough year, but I am not going to say too much because I don't need the universe to say, hold my beer. So let's just keep moving forward. I have some great guests lined up and scheduled on the calendar. So there's going to be some great guests coming up. So stay tuned. I'll be back with more and some fabulous guests. And the light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much.